Today we once again hear in the Gospel of Luke a story that's very familiar to all of us. Today's parable is about Lazarus and the rich man. This connects to other parables that we've heard from Luke in the past weeks. It has to do with the entitlement that some people feel they have because of their position, because of their status. And the rich young man, or the rich man in this case, is feeling like maybe he's entitled to what Lazarus gets. And Lazarus, who has been poor and has been begging, and the rich man has ignored, is in the bosom of Abraham, is with God. Once again, we are challenged to reach out to those who are in need. We are challenged to pay attention and to recognize those who are in need, and the reality that we have things, time, talent, and treasure, which can respond to those needs. The gospel connects today to our reading from the book of the prophet Amos. Amos is known as the prophet of social justice, and he talks of alas for the people who are rich, the people who have, the people who ignore those who don't. So it connects very strongly to our story about the rich man and Lazarus. And it challenges us also to pay attention, open our hearts, open our eyes, open our ears to the needs that are around us every day. When we walk, when we do our business in Kenora, in the city which we live in, we need to be paying attention. And there's been a lot of stuff in our news lately about folks on the street. And our response has to be, what can we do? How can we respond? There's a couple of interesting things that I found in this gospel. It's interesting to me that the name is only given to Lazarus, that the rich man remains anonymous. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it reminds us that names are very important. And Lazarus' name is mentioned, and he's the one who ends up with God. So God recognizes and names and calls those who are poor. He also calls us who are rich. But if we named the rich man, we may feel that that's not me. That's for that person. So being an anonymous rich man, we can reflect on ourselves, especially where we live in relative to the world, where we live in a land of plenty and we're prosperous. The call very much becomes for us to respond to those who are in need, to give of what we have. The other thing that's interesting is that it challenges us to find names, to recognize people in their dignity. And when we name people, that happens. We've had experience in my role at the school to go and to work at the soup kitchen. And one of the things that is fascinating to me and that has really been a blessing is to find the names of the folks that we serve and then to be able to speak their name outside of that service. I believe that that gives dignity to the people who we are working with. When we are able to name the person, when we're able to say, George or Franny or Julie or whatever, how are you? How are you doing? Outside of that service, it gives dignity. And God calls us to give dignity to one another, in a special way to give dignity to those who are poor, to those who are oppressed. And so I think we have a big challenge before us in our readings today. We have a big challenge to reach out, to be a person of social justice. And when we are a person of social justice, it's not just about meeting the need, but it's about trying to build community, to get to know one another, to really become one with one another, to bring that unity of who we are. And I think the name that we are able to call a person, if it's their real name, gives us the opportunity to get to know them. Not just to be a person of service to them, but to be a person who is in relationship with them. After all, God is relationship. Our God, who we believe is a Trinitarian God, is a relationship. And so what better way to build relationships one with another than to be able to call somebody by their name? So our challenge, I believe today, is to reach out in dignity, with integrity, and to build community with those who are in need. Thank you.